you very much. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. We're really excited to get this event going. I will begin sharing my screen. Please kindly confirm if you can see my screen clearly. Thumbs up? Okay, so thank you. So my name is Jessica Waluka. I am the program manager for the TechTalent Accelerator. I'm also a research project manager for the Science Research and Innovation Office. We're really excited to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules, students, staff, and external guests that we have today. We really appreciate you coming in today. To just begin things, I'm just gonna begin with our land acknowledgement today. So Toronto is in the District 1 Spoon territory. The District 1 Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabes, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Before we also continue today, I would also like to just say something short, as today is our Remembrance Day. So today we remember those who volunteered, sacrificed, served, fought, and died for our freedom. We thank you, we salute you, as we salute those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. We will never forget you. We will remember you. Thank you very much. So before we continue today, I just want to get the chat function buzzing a little bit. So I would like you to just put in the chat function, let me know what program are you in, what year are you in. Just don't be shy, put it all in the chat. I want to know the students we have today. If you're from Faculty of Science, Faculty of Engineering, please let me know. So what program are you in, what year are you in? First year, second year, third year, fourth year. Thank you. So Rita, tell me, what do you see?
Second year, criminology. Yes, I see. That's Taylor. Third year, communications, business management. Wow, we've got a lot of with sociology.
That's
welcome.
Interesting. Welcome.
Third year, electrical and computer engineering. PhD aerospace. Wow. Amazing.
Oh, interesting. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. I know for our agenda, we're supposed to begin by 12:05, but we are beginning at a little bit later today. We really do apologize for the technical difficulties we had earlier. So I'm just gonna go through a welcome and overview of the TechTalent Accelerator. After I'll be done quickly, I would hand it over to Michael and Rita, our guest speakers here today. At the end of their session, we would have like a 10 minutes open session for questions and answers. So I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, they'll have a lot of questions. So please keep that. You could unmute yourself. You could use the chat function and pose your questions at the end of the session. So just to begin our overview, the TechTalent Accelerator is a training program designed to train the next generation of industry-ready talent for the Canadian tech and IT tech industry. So this program was created through a collaboration between Ryerson, CompTIA, which is the largest global association for the IT tech industry, and its member companies. So for our program, we do have two components of the program. We have the ExploreTech and we have the ExperienceTech. So part of the innovation seminars we have, like this one, is part of the ExploreTech seminar, where we have bi-weekly innovation seminars, as well as we host yearly Hack Tech that run for about 3 weeks. For the ExperienceTech components of our program, we have our industry training modules that was created by the industry for the industry. We offer one CompTIA certification course. We offer 4 months internship as well. As you guys all know, our call for application opened up a couple of weeks ago, and we received a whole lot of applications from you guys. As you also know, we are also accepting application on a rolling basis. I just want to just do a brief introduction and shout out to our advisory board members. We meet on a bi-weekly basis since October 2019. So we've worked with them tirelessly to create this innovative program that we offer to you students. And we designed this program with them from scratch. So if we have any of our advisory board members here with us today, please could you just unmute yourself and just say hi, just give us a shout out. I'm sure the students are dying to get to know you.
Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I would like to do a brief introduction to our guest speakers here today. We have Rita Lonker, who is the head of strategic accounts and federal government sales at Checkpoint Software Technologies. So Rita is a 20-year veteran of IT, 13 of which has been with Veritas, and Rita has played an integral role in launching the first virtual wave mentorship program at Veritas, which is a member of the Canada Channel Chief Council and is a strong advocate for diversity and women in IT. She recently just became the head of strategic accounts and federal government sales at Checkpoint Software Technology. So congratulations again, Rita. We're really happy to have you aboard. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Rita, who's going to give our introduction for our guest speaker here today, Michael Contento. So thank you so much for having time to just be with us and impact us with your wisdom here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica, and thank you, Michael, for being here today. Michael is a friend, a colleague, and a mentor to me. I've known him for a few years now. He is an entrepreneur that entrepreneurs go to for advice. He's the CEO of My Blue Umbrella, which is an IT services company that's grown to over $10 million in revenues, that delivers simplicity in the form of management and consulting services. He's also the CEO of a chain of pharmacies located in and around the Toronto area, and he owns and manages a large portfolio of real estate. And he's an author. Bottom line. So without further ado, Michael, thank you for being here today. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Rita. It's absolutely a pleasure. I find this event very intriguing. Earlier I was saying that most of my family is students at Ryerson today. I got my daughter, I got a couple of nephews on this call today, Adam and Noah. So I'm actually extremely excited. I think the program is incredible. I think what you do, Rita, Jessica, what you guys are doing for the students at Ryerson is really good. So I'm really happy to be here with you all.
Thank you so much, Michael. We appreciate that. And thank you. We're trying to do our best for that next generation of the IT workforce. So Michael, you've written this book. So Michael, your book, and everyone here, the bottom line is exactly that, right? So it gives you the basics and everything you need to be successful, like he says, in leadership, in business, in life. And we all know that there are a lot of self-help books out there, right? But they're usually written for someone who's been in business, who wants to take that next step, big step. Mm-hmm. And Michael, your book addresses where to start, the basics, right? It's those fundamentals. And so, and like all of the folks on this call today, they need something like this. Maybe they know, maybe they've read those other books and it didn't really relate. The bottom line, though, amazing book. And you talk about, that it's made for them. You wrote this for them, that they to give them the basics. So I want to, thank you again for being here and providing these valuable insights to us. You grew up, worked at one point at your dad's butcher shop, right? And like so many, work for our family business or whatever. Like you, I did work for my dad in a hair salon, sweeping floors. Of course, I didn't leave the salon with blood and guts on my clothing. It was a little bit less gory than yourself. I mean, working there and, being in that, of course, it's great to have the business, but as a child, you're sitting there or a teenager and you're thinking, there's got to be something more. Like, there's got to be more. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
It's a great question. I will tell you, I didn't want the guts and blood anymore. So I learned very quickly being with my two other brothers, my dad's butcher shop. In an Italian family at a certain age, it's evolution that you join dad and you go to the butcher shop and you help out. What I realized fairly quickly is that being in that environment, that I aspired more. I wanted more. There's something I was more intrigued in the mechanics of the butcher shop, the business of the butcher shop, more the dealings versus just cutting meat and cleaning out chickens and so on and so on. So Rita, one thing I will say is, my dad was a great leader and a great mentor to me, not necessarily in following his footsteps, but teach me the landmarks of where I needed to look at or the steps I needed to take to really go to the next level. So the butcher shop was a very paramount move for me because it showed me what I don't want to be, what I didn't want to follow. So it sounds negative, but it was actually very positive. It was a step that I had to take to realize that this isn't for me, and I needed something more to do to go to the next step.
Yes, for sure. So that motivated you, right? And so so was the next question. Like, what is it that motivates you? What gets you up and gets you going in the morning?
What motivates me? Well, today, from when I was younger till today, is very different, thank God. But I think what motivated me the most when I was younger is really, and I learned it very young, and I probably didn't even know the true meaning of it when I was 16, 17 years old. But the overall customer experience, the overall experience that I was able to provide to a client. I remember one of my first fun jobs is when I was doing sales in Club Monaco clothing. And what I realized is helping people, when I was able to help someone buy their warm winter jacket, and the result that came out of that winter jacket was that person was so excited. I can't wait to wear my jacket. I was part of that experience. I was able to help that person pick the right clothing that changed their perspective and made them feel good. So when they left that Club Monaco store that I assisted with, they felt great. So I learned quickly, back then I didn't know the concept of customer experience, but I learned really quickly that that's what I like. I liked helping people get what they want, essentially.
That's amazing. It's a feeling, right? It's that feeling, that customer satisfaction. And we forget that sometimes because we're so entrenched in what I want to give you, what I want to sell, how I want to be successful, not necessarily what the customer needs and the feeling that they'll get from what you're offering. Right?
Absolutely. And to start, I want to be very clear. To start, I think we forget sometimes, although it's a bi-directional relationship, I'm working there, I'm making money, I'm supposed to deliver something to support my employment. What I found that I was less about the money and more about the outcome. And I learned that very young, where I know I'm there, I know I'm getting paid. My concentration wasn't necessarily the check. My concentration was really the customer. How can I help this customer? How can I grow within the customer? And I found the more that I engulfed that kind of attitude in the way I thought, the way I delivered, the faster I grew, the faster I got promoted, and the money kind of followed through. It kind of follows you. So I'm not saying that it wasn't a bi-directional relationship. It definitely was, but the way I thought was more singular. It was really, what are the outcomes? How can I achieve the outcomes? And I know something's going to come with it.
Right, definitely. So tell me, how do you define your success? Let's say, so you're doing so many things. You've got successful businesses, but as when you were younger, just like what motivates you is different. Help me understand, like, what was that? how did you define success perhaps in each stage, right? Because we have some young people here, they're just starting out. How are they going to define success? How do they know they're doing well?
Yeah. So there's a few ways we can define success. And of course, in one way is a lot of people relate success to monetary value. I'm going to put that aside for a second. And my definition of success, is I wake up every morning. I'm excited to go to work. I'm excited to do what I do. I never come home stressed. In my book, I talk about, I work at home, but I never bring work home. That is successful, that I'm able to go home. I'm able to work with my family, either watching TV with a laptop on my lap, and what I mean by I don't take work home is that my family never heard any of the challenges in my career, is that I was able to leave that part of my life at the office while continue working from home. So my success is that still today, 5:30 every single morning, I don't need an alarm clock to go off. I automatically wake up. I have a purpose. I'm excited to fulfill that purpose. And what comes out of it is what we started with, the monetary value follows it. Like I learned in Club Monaco, it comes today. So success to me is being excited to wake up in the morning.
Love it. That's fantastic. Be excited to wake up, to have a purpose. That's amazing. And a lot of people take that for granted. It's like they get up and they're going about their day, and it's kind of you're a robot. You're just doing your thing. Find a purpose and go with it. Be excited. Put everything into it. I love that, Michael. And you know what? That comes out in everything that you do, right? I see that. You're excited. You're is passionate about everything and the people. Definitely in the people. So you started a few businesses. You've got a few businesses that you've got successful businesses. So how did the idea for your business come about? What was the first one, and then how did it come about?
Well, my very first business, it was actually called Student Green Thumb, and I was I think 17 years old, and me and my friends, I was lucky enough that still today, the group of friends I have, we're all together since JK. So there's about 10 of us that somehow stuck together from junior kindergarten, and at our old age, we're still together. So at the age of 17, we were trying to figure out how to make some money. I didn't want to go back to the butcher shop. We were trying to get some part-time jobs. The summer came and we said, hey, why don't we start cutting grass? And we're like, okay, great. That's a great idea. So he took his dad's lawnmower. I took my dad's lawnmower. We went to the local library, and I developed a name called Student Green Thumb. And we put flyers, and back then, no email, no internet. So we went from house to house putting flyers with a phone number, and it picked up fairly quickly. And what we said is that we told them the age, we were fully transparent. We're young students looking to save money, both to live and get ready for college and university. And when we found that we were so transparent with these clients in the neighborhood, they felt overwhelmed to want to help. They're like, sure, cut my grass, here you go. And quickly we took off. We went from putting two lawnmowers in my little Honda Civic to then picking up a trailer. And now we have, a couple of lawnmowers, a couple of weed whackers, and it quickly progressed into something that we thought was going to sustain for a while. The reason it didn't sustain is that the 2 summers that we did it, I thought it was coincidental that I had a cold for 3 months. And until someone said, hey, you might actually have allergies. I noticed at the age of 18 that I have seasonal allergies. So it wasn't a profession for me in particular, but we had a lot of fun for 2 years.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So then, well, where do you get your ideas from? You have, various ventures that you have. Where do you get your, cutting grass, the obvious, unfortunately, and fortunately, your allergies kicked in. And so where do you come up with these ideas?
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, that's I guess a magic question. In my perspective and the way I look at the world is I'm my daughter that is our artist, and she's an incredible artist. She definitely didn't get that from me, but I do look at my world as a white canvas, and I'm always looking at what kind of art or what can I create today. I will say in one of the chapters of the book, I talk about art of communication. And a lot of people get confused about art of communication, and they're like, oh, I can communicate. I'm doing a Zoom call. I can talk to someone. And really, to me, the biggest attribute of art of communication is not necessarily what you're saying, is what you're hearing. So a lot of the creations I go through is really listening to the market, listening to people, listening to the needs of others. And what happens is I kind of, on my canvas, I start building what I think will be either a niche opportunity or maybe join a segment or an industry that I think has room to grow. So usually, Rita, I listen to others, I listen to colleagues, I read a lot, and on my canvas, I start painting what I think will be an opportunity to create.
That's amazing. So just listening and looking at the market, things like that, doing your research, really, right?
Research, absolutely.
It's doing research, but kind of organically too, right? Because you're not, reading books constantly thinking of, okay, what's the next thing right now, but it will come organically. Something will be triggered, right? Yeah. I love that idea. That's really cool. It's kind of like a vision board to me.
It's exactly what it is. It's a vision board.
There you go. You're creating your vision. So I love that. And then, so you have these great ideas, and how do you fund something like that? Like you created these businesses, and I'm looking at it going, okay, you had to start somewhere, right? And so the grass cutting did not fund the big picture stuff. So
no. So as an entrepreneur, funding is always a challenge, and the bigger we think, funding becomes a bigger problem. I would say at a younger age, I was a risk taker. Essentially, I had credit available and I borrowed the funding, which is, I want to be very clear because we have a lot of students on the call. It's a risky thing to do. So, borrowing off credit to start a venture, a lot of us start that way, but it's also a very risky initiative to do. With my Blue Umbrella, for instance, started 27 years ago. One of my first investments, Rita, because I found a very niche opportunity to hit the IT world. I think it was very important that I start a particular way, and that way was with a phone system, believe it or not. I was a one-man shop, and how do I give this corporate community a picture, judge the book by its cover, of a bigger entity than just a one consultant show. So I bought a phone system. I borrowed off my credit card and I bought a $10,000 phone system. And when you called our number, it was like, for sales, press 1, for service, press 2. Coincidentally, I was in the same department every time someone called. So it was really, in the early days, the investment was me taking the risk. Today, it's a lot more calculated. It's a lot more development and proposals and analyzing data, market segments. So we can, there's still risk, but it's a bit more predictable what type of risk.
Right, a calculated risk. And thank you for reminding the students that there's always risk. Believe in your ideas, find ways, to get investment, but there's always risk for that. So you mentioned my Blue Umbrella, and I always was fascinated by that story, but tell the students here how you came up with the name for my Blue Umbrella and how that came about.
I was, 27 years ago, I was a tech. I was working for another organization. And what I found at the time is that, and this is a problem still today in the tech world, is, you get technology companies that truly only think about technologies. It's the bits and bytes. It's the communication style of a tech company. It's very rigid. It's very technical. And what I found that I had the ability to do was I was able to break down the technical knowledge and language more so into more of an English language. And there was times, Rita, when I was a kid, I would explain technical solutions using fruit, like, here's an apple and here's an orange. And really what happened is that client will say, approved, that makes all the sense in the world. We really need the orange, right? Thank you for explaining it in a way that I can interpret the need. So what I found quickly is that I needed to be something different. I didn't want to be just yet another IT company. There was tons of us already. So I developed the name more on a psychological basis, and I started with the color blue. Back then, blue was a very dominant PC color. It was like, HP, IBM, a strong corporate color, blue-collar workers. So I picked the color blue for many reasons. Umbrella was psychological in the sense that I wanted a bunch of services under one umbrella, but also the protection perspective. Like, I want to feel protected. So a client, when they think of an umbrella, they think about protection. Where the word "my" comes in is really a knee-jerk reaction for our clients. Is I find, Rita, in technology, when you're having a bad technology day, your computer isn't working, your internet isn't working, your email's not going through, it's so frustrating. It's equivalent to a rainy day. And for the students on the call here, Rita, yourself, myself, when it's raining, whether we drive, we take transit, the first thing to think about is that it's raining, I need my umbrella. I can't forget my umbrella. So I wanted the psychology of it, that when someone's having a tough technology day, that psychologically they're going to say, just pick up my umbrella. Let me grab the umbrella, let them deal with the problem. And it worked. There's that name, again, I'm going to say this very lightly. It was never guaranteed. It was a risk that I took. But I can tell you, Rita, I must have won dozens of contracts, not on criteria, but I had executives say, if you had the tenacity of calling yourself my umbrella, we need to see what you can do, because we just don't get it. Why would you call yourself my umbrella? So we won a lot of contracts, whether right or wrong, just on that sort of perspective of standing out.
I love that. That's amazing. That's amazing. So the name is important too of your business, right? It's that feeling you're trying to, get from the client, and the trusted blue umbrella, right? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
and if you look at it, sorry, Rita, if you look at it, so that is art of communication. So I listened at a very young age. I was listening that the clients had a hard time understanding technology. So I developed a way of articulating to their level, or to a more of a, English language level, and it worked really well.
That's awesome. No, that's really good. And it's important. And you always think of the people. And I know that, even when I was managing the partner community and got to know you and your employees, you were the one person CEO that brought everyone with him. You brought them to events, you introduced them to people, you made sure they understood why you were doing things, and you built this amazing culture. And so a little bit about, the culture and how important that is in business in general.
Yeah, so we at my Blue Umbrella in particular, we really live by our core values, and one of our main core values is empowerment. It's important that growth happens not just at the CEO level, but it has to happen across the board. For an organization to scale, it can't be done by the power of one. It is done by a collective team. And Rita, you know these words as good as I do, but in our community, we talk about individually, each one of us on this call, we're very strong people. But collectively, if we can work collectively, we're going to be extraordinary. And the culture here at Michael & Bell is about working collectively. And simply what I did is I brought the team to empower them to understand individually you are strong, but if we can walk together and we show this community that we're truly together, we're going to be extraordinary. And that's exactly what's been happening over the 27 years. We continue hitting new levels because we're collectively extraordinary.
That's amazing. Yes, definitely. So you work collectively, each individual does their part. You do a lot of things. You have a lot of businesses, you have a lot of responsibilities, you have a family. Michael, how many hours on average a day do you work? I mean, people look and go, wow, okay, or they think, I want this. And then they're, maybe not doing the things or saying, my 8 hours is going to be good enough. So I'm fascinated by everything that you do. So give us a picture of what does it look like for you? How many hours?
So I will start off by saying, and then I'll go into my hours, and hopefully we'll force that my daughter can't unmute and comment on my fatherhood skill sets. But truth of the matter is, no matter what quotes you read about success, and again, how you interpret success is many layers, but no matter which quote you read by successful people, they'll be the first one to say that success isn't done between 9 and 5. It's extremely hard to be successful in an 8-hour day. It just doesn't work. And a lot of professions, the only difference is maybe a lawyer per se can be writing an article on the beach. Maybe they have a bit more flexibility, but even the successful lawyer is working quite a lot of hours. So, the one thing I will go back to what I said, what made me successful and allows me to work so many hours. I start my day every day at 5:30. My reading is usually done today on the Peloton. While I'm doing the scenic route, I'm reading my articles. I'm taking advantage of the hour or 45 minutes. I cheated this morning on the Peloton. So I'm catching up. It's really finding the opportunities within your day where you can double up and triple up. So that's what I look for. I look for the opportunities throughout the day is how can I multitask? I taught myself at a very young age that multitasking is probably one of the most crucial ingredients to success. The faster you can learn to multitask, the more you can do throughout the day. We can't create the hours. So what I did at a very young age is I started to figure out, how do I multitask? How can I truly do two things at once? The other thing is the hours, I don't treat it as work. As I said before, I treat it as most of the careers I do, or most of the organizations I work for, in particular, Michael & Bell the most, it's fun. It's my hobby. It's people like golfing. I like creating, and people like doing exercising in the open. I like doing it in a room where I get to do things at the same time. So I work mostly. My schedule is start at 5:30. I'm home by 6:30. I eat with the kids for about an hour and a half. They go to bed. I get ready, sit on the couch or back on my bed, and while my wife watches TV, I work another 2-3 hours on the laptop, and rinse and repeat. And it's not Monday to Friday either. Honestly, Rita, it's I enjoy it so much that I'm doing it on a Saturday and a Sunday, and it continues. Vacation, I enjoy my vacation, but my vacation is with my, at the time, BlackBerry. Now it's with an iPhone, and but people look at it, but you work so much. I don't find it work. And some people like reading the magazine on the beach. I like reading my iPhone. It's really accepting what you do is not necessarily a have to, but it's a want to. I'm in a want to stage.
That's amazing. And that is what got you where you are today and where you continue to grow and grow your business, which is fantastic. So you wrote a book on all these great experiences that you've had and wanted to to share this knowledge with everyone. When did you realize that you wanted to be a writer?
That's a great. It was one of my bucket lists for the longest time, and I think it wasn't about me becoming a writer, but there was a pivotal point in my life where, I was sitting in a boardroom with a bunch of extremely educated professionals, and they asked me to come in as a consultant, and there was four of them, the CEO and myself, and they were coming up with all these theories and strategies, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. I'm either going to get fired right now, or I'm going to just compromise and not tell them the truth or something. After they were done, I said, I just need to be myself. And I said to the CEO, I said, I actually don't agree with anything you guys just said. I don't believe that's the right way for the organization. And I rolled out some very simple ways of doing things. And after an hour of them talking versus the 15 minutes that I spoke about simplicity and really the outcomes we're trying to achieve, the CEO turns around to me and says, you know what? I absolutely agree with you. Forget about everything my team said. Just move with what you're saying. Make it simple, make it happen. And that's what happened. So I realized then the book isn't about, in life, Rita, you and I, we're so busy. We talk about busy all the hours. It's easy to forget the basic essentials. It's easy to forget the foundation that got us where we are today. So the book is for students like Ryerson, students at Ryerson, but it's also for some executives that just simply forgot the basics that made them successful from the beginning. So what the bottom line is what I want to share is from that boardroom, I realized eventually people need to remember that it always starts with the basics. It always starts with simplicity. If we make it too complicated, not only are we not going to like our careers anymore, we're not going to give the outcomes that we're supposed to. So that's where I realized that at one point in my life, I need to jot this all down again and either write it in an article, or write a book, and share it with people that these basic fundamentals are truly the foundation of what's going to make you successful. Other stuff's going to help and scale you, but if you forget the foundation, you're going to have an issue.
100%. I love that. It's the basics are always so important. And we as professionals, we've been in this for so long, sometimes do forget. I got to remind myself and go, wait a sec, take a step back here and remember why you're doing this, right? Remember that.
Absolutely.
So for the students, it's great to start out. And then for, like you said, remembering is super important. So, what was the most surprising thing that you learned in creating the book?
I thought I worked a lot writing a book. It was definitely endearing in many different ways. Going through the process of an editor was extremely interesting. I'm good at creating, and I'm good at being an entrepreneur and a CEO. I definitely am very thankful that I had an editor. So writing a book was we talk about art of communication. What they made me realize is that there's many ways of communicating, and he helped me quite a bit understanding there's certain ways of communicating to bring that message out. And so I will say, what I realized writing a book, it's writing a book in itself is an art and an extremely long journey. I'm actually excited that I'm thinking of book 2 right now. We had such a great time with book 1, and the success of book 1 was great, that we're looking at book 2 right now. But it is definitely a journey and an art that I definitely had not only fun, but much of a roller coaster doing.
I'm sure. So I know you have family on here, and we're gonna go to some questions in a minute, but I wanted to ask, you, Michael, and Taylor, if you want to pipe up too, but what does your family think of your book?
Oh, I don't know if I want any of them to answer that. No, we have Noah. Noah's there's Noah on the phone. There's Adam on the phone. There's Taylor. I think Noah and Adam are in the business. I think they're both in business at Ryerson, and the Ted Rogers for business, and Taylor's in criminology. I think Taylor recently reread my book. I don't know, Taylor, do you want to comment on that? Are you shy?
You're on mute.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, I recently reread it and I really enjoyed it.
And why did you reread it, if you don't mind sharing that? She was having to, if you don't mind me sharing, she wanted to find more jobs, more opportunities, and I wanted her to refocus on the foundation, the simple aspects of finding that job. And I'm not saying it was directly correlated, but within 4 weeks later, she now works at TD as a teller starting Monday, correct?
Yep. Bravo, that's so great. That's amazing. Good for you. So those lessons, the basics help in any way, whether you're looking for a job. And in our program, we have internships where, we match up the students with companies in IT. And so any of those life lessons would be certainly valuable. So with that, I would love so thank you so much, Michael. I would love to open it up to questions from anyone who's on the call today. If you have any questions, either put them in the chat or, turn on your camera or speak up. We're happy to, Michael, I'm speaking for Michael. Michael's happy to answer your questions.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions.
Yeah. So I'm just, okay. I can't see it. Oh, wait a second.
I could read it out for you if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine, Jessica, just because I had to log in on my phone. So.
Sure, no problem. So we have a question from Oscar, and he said, personally, I'm a big fan of Rita Lonker. She always brings up greatly relevant and updated content to this interesting sessions. I think that's my question, but that's a compliment for you, Rita.
And Oscar is absolutely correct. I'm a huge fan of Rita as well.
Yeah, I second that as well. I've worked with Rita for a while now, and I'm really happy and blessed to have you in my life. So much to learn. So we have a question from Isaiah, and he said, this is for Michael. How important are the people around you in your success? Like, how much do you think your social circle or network imparts how well your business performs? I think that's a really good question.
That's absolutely an incredible question, and actually very dear to my heart, because I actually had to say goodbye to a couple of my close friends temporarily. So I'm a huge person on positive energy. I cannot personally take a negative energy. So my glass is always half full, not always half empty. So during my journey, I had a couple of friends, a couple of family members that they were always on the negative side. The I can'ts and we shouldn't, and that's not possible. And what I found, it was really suffocating me. It was bringing doubts in my mind, and maybe I'm going down the wrong path. And because I think everything is possible, anything I want, I believe it's possible. So that is probably, I would say, is one of the most important aspects you need to do during your journey of reaching your goals. Is you may have to either say goodbye. I didn't say completely goodbye to my friends. Like I said, they're still from junior kindergarten. But what I did is I reduced my contact with certain people. I limited the contact with certain people. They're always my friend. They'll always be there. I love them dearly. But I limit the amount of information or discussions I have with them. But that's an absolutely incredible question and extremely important. You surround yourself with people that believe in success, that are positive, and that want to grow, and that energy will follow through.
That's great advice, Michael. I'll add to that too, is using your network as well. How you leverage those people in your life and having those people to bounce ideas over with and things like that. That's important. So you limit your contact or conversation specifically with certain folks, but then you increase it somewhere else where you have that positive energy, where you have that support.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much, Rita. We do have a second question for Michael as well. The question is, how do you know when you have a product market fit, and how are you ready to scale a business?
Oof.
That's a hard one, huh?
What I typically do, and you have to watch, with sensitive information, not sharing too much of the IP. At the end of the day, it's not that you don't trust community at large, but if you do have a great opportunity, you do have to protect it to a certain degree. I'm big on panels. I'm big on opinions. So every time I develop something, I develop my own panel, and it's not necessarily just your friends. You try your best to, as Rita said, find networks, find colleagues. At Ryerson, I would ask a few professors, a few of the colleagues there, and you start brainstorming. And how you do that is really, how do you hide something and get someone's opinion? It's really truly an art that you need to figure out. How do I get someone's opinion talking about a product if it's relevant? I will also say 9 out of 10 times, you'll probably get negative information because it's people just don't know. They're giving their personal opinions. What I will say as an entrepreneur, just because 9 out of 10 people say it's a no, that doesn't mean it's not a good product. So take the information, and if you have to, you need to digest it kind of in a way, because you're the creator, you're the artist, in a way of this is just someone's subjective opinion, and you're learning from it. If you're going to scale it, you're going to scale it through either, not necessarily private equity because they're too big, but you're going to scale it with partnerships. I will say one thing I don't believe in is greed. I feel a lot of ideas don't come about because people feel like it's mine. It's only mine. And what happens is that 10 years later, you're still with the idea and no product. If you think you have a good product, if you think you have a good opportunity or a good service, don't be afraid to team up. Don't be afraid to share. Getting half of something is better, everything of nothing. So I would say do a panel discussion, figure out the data, get as much data as possible. And if you feel that you still have a good opportunity, see who you can team up with.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's really great advice, Michael. I'm gonna jump in here because something really resonated with me when you were talking. You were talking about doubling up and tripling up, and how you work out and you like listening to something. And I know I do that sometimes, like when I'm working out, I'm like doing like a LinkedIn certification on learning or something like that, and you get the most out of your time. But then that brings me to my question, because it sounds like you're such a busy man. Like you're always on the go. Like how do you keep yourself motivated? Like how do you stop yourself from burning out? Because that is something a lot of us are currently dealing with, burnout and like lack of motivation. Like could you give us some tips that could like potentially help us?
So I will give you just one tip, but it could be a very dangerous tip. So as we have students on the call, I don't want them to take this out of context too much. But I believe in risk and reward and how that plays into the multitasking. So my mother-in-law, I love her, her soul, she's great. But sometimes I like wine, for instance. I like drinking a glass of wine. So she looks at me and she says, wow, you just bought, I'm making up a number right now, a $40 bottle of wine. And she says to me, well, why would you do that? You can buy 4 $10 bottles of wine. And she's right. She's absolutely right. I can get 4 bottles instead of 1 bottle. But when I work so hard and I'm multitasking and I'm on that Peloton and I'm pushing myself, if you don't reward yourself, you'll burn out. You'll burn out quickly because you don't see what's on the other side of the road. So it's extremely important to reward yourself. Again, don't take it out of context. I don't want everyone going out tomorrow and spending the whole bank account, but it's extremely important that when you're pushing yourself to the limit, you need to reward yourself, because it's the reward that fuels you again. It says, oh my God, I love that so much. I love the vacation. I love the trip. I love the glass of wine. I love that dinner. I'm going to do more tomorrow morning. I'm going to get up 10 minutes earlier because I want more of that.
I love that. It's so simple. It doesn't have to be something really expensive. It could be treating yourself time, right? Downtime, because I've worked so hard up till right now, and I'm going to take an hour and have a bubble bath or whatever it might be, right? Treat yourself to a massage, but it could be anything. And I love that. Always remember the reward. I forget that as a mom, believe me.
I see on the chat, Ron is saying it sounds like it might be wine o'clock. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. Could have, you're working through school and you have a job and you're trying to get ahead and you want an internship or whatever it might be. Definitely, I agree with the reward part for sure.
Yeah, we have another question again on the chat, and we have a comment as well. And this is for Michael as well. It's like, how long did you have your business before you stopped working as an employee and rely financially on your business? And in your opinion, at what point do you think it's appropriate for someone else to leave their job and focus solely on their business? I think that's a great one. A lot of entrepreneurs or people planning on opening a business are definitely interested in this one.
Absolutely. You know what? That's actually an incredible question. I don't have my glasses, so I don't see who asked it. So that's
Azaya.
That is such a great question. And for full transparency, I did it accidentally. At a very young age, I realized that it's important to distinguish ownership and employment. So at a very young age, my first business, I always treated myself as an employee. Today, I'm an employee. I'm a CEO, paid as a CEO. My shares and shareholder structure, that's me being an entrepreneur. So what I realized is I started a company. Fun fact, at My Umbrella, I was the 3rd employee. I wasn't the 1st employee. So I found the niche. Like I said, I found an opportunity. I was getting paid really well where I was. So I said, let me start this up. Let me see if it's viable. Let me see if it can work. It was taken off really well. I hired someone part-time because I was making good money on the left hand. I didn't want to necessarily go to My Umbrella just yet. So I think it's very important to distinguish the cost of employment. No matter what organization you guys open up, whether it's design or tech or manufacturing, your number one cost will always be employment. So you have to factor in, does my organization, can it afford employment? And until you can see very clearly that the organization can afford you as an employee, I wouldn't jump ship. I would wait. I would wait until you clearly see it can actually afford you as an employee. Otherwise, you're going to be financially stressed. Things will start collapsing because you can't afford living while bringing this dream out. So it's very important to understand, could your opportunity afford you as an employee?
Wow.
That's a great point.
So good.
I know. Like I started thinking about it.
You're brilliant. Love it.
We do have a comment from Winter. I don't know, and Ari is raising their hand as well. I was thinking, like, Winter, do you want to unmute yourself and talk about this Pomodoro technique? She's talking, I don't know, she's saying something about there's a method method based on reward called Pomodoro technique. I don't know if you want to just highlight it a little bit more, or you're good to go.
Yeah, I can. I can
Okay.
do it shortly. Basically, it's based on like, what Michael was saying, in terms of you put in X number of hours or minutes, let's say studying a certain topic or subject, and after some time, you want to reward yourself so you don't quote unquote burn out. So you take some time away, do whatever you want to do. That's kind of relaxing and will get you motivated again to jump back in and continue studying.
There's a name for it. That's amazing.
I had no idea myself.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
So we have, we're gonna take one last question because we're running, or we're a bit late. So Ari, do you wanna unmute yourself?
Yeah, great. So I had a question about the multitasking aspect.
Yep.
So within multitasking, how do you manage to stay mindful and focused on your tasks, even though you have so much on the go?
So being in technology, we developed tools or methods for me to make sure that I'm constantly aware of my task. I will tell you one of my secrets because I think it was paramount to my success. So everyone loves developing lists beyond lists beyond lists beyond lists. And next thing you know, you have 30 things on your list. That is the absolutely wrong thing to do. Wrong, because when you see a big picture, you get discouraged. So I break everything up in small pieces. So one way I do it is when I sit at my desk, I list only 3 things. I know I have way more than 3 things today. And I know 3 things is only going to take me maybe 2 hours, but it's very important visually and psychologically, you don't inundate yourself. So what I do is I list these 3 things, no matter which company or which sort of layer I'm working on. And I notice quickly, because there's only 3 things, I allocate it thinking it's only going to be 2 hours. I end up doing it in an hour because they're just it's such a short list. And when I'm done those 3 things, I add 3 more things, not more than 3 more things. So 3 worked out for me. And what happens is when you do it like that, when you cover it up in pieces, you'll notice that you're multitasking. You just finished 30 things. When you start off with 30 things, you get discouraged. Too many things going on. Which one do I do first? So I developed a software that everyone has access to. It's online. If you go to deliversimplicity.ca, it's a little web app that I did more of a fun exercise. And it only allows you to write certain aspects. And I weighted it on business outcomes. So it's going to ask you a question for each task. And then when you hit submit, it kind of tells you which task they believe you do first. So while you're writing your 3 tasks, which one's going to give you the most outcome in the least amount of time? So the most outcome in the least amount of time. And you'll notice that you're going to be able to multitask a lot faster because you're managing the tasks in general in a smarter way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. That answered my question. Thank you.
That's great. I was thinking more of like a belt strapped onto the Peloton so you don't fall off.
You as a
Yeah, he's just strapped in because you don't know.
you is a really good point.
I couldn't help myself, sorry.
Sorry, Michael, please can you put the city link again? We have
It's
some people.
deliversimplicity.ca. Deliversimplicity.ca.
Okay.
And I will share. You know what? Jessica, I'll email you a few links that you can share with the team. Now,
Okay.
I will say, how many people do we have on the call today, Jessica?
So we had 27. Some people had to drop off, but we had a lot of people that emailed us said they had a conflict, but we should send them the recording after today.
So Jessica, if you don't mind, if it's all right with you, can I give everyone one of my books for free? Can I send you a bunch of books, and whoever was on the call, you can coordinate how they can pick it up, or
That's amazing. Thank you so much for your generous offer. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll
Yeah.
work with Rita to get some delivery coordinates, and I'll send you $30, and then they can reach out to you to get a copy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, there, you guys are the future. So, we really need to get you guys going to help our economy out. So thank you for joining everyone. And thank you for allowing me to speak to you about my book.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much, Michael, for taking time out of your day, providing so many great insights and tips to everyone. It's wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Rita. Thank you so much, Michael. I really do appreciate it. Like, you guys have impacted us with such great wisdom today, and I know how busy your schedules are. So thank you once again for taking the time to be with us here today. We're running late. We're currently at 1:07, but please, I would like to let you guys know we have the RSVP link for our next event next week, actually December 2nd. So please RSVP, and also follow us on LinkedIn. We post all activities, and we live stream our videos as well. So if you need access to the recording, we have that on our website and all our live streaming services as well. Once again, I just want to say thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate the host, Michael, Rita, and all our guests for your continued support. Like, without you guys, I don't know, we have no program. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy today. Enjoy Friday and Saturday, Sunday. And thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.